Alright, so we're gonna continue from the second half right now, talking about the Hot Scramble over here. So, in terms of the Hot Scramble, I'm not too impressed by how they kind of build this one over here. So, in terms of the Hot Scramble, it's more of like obviously with what we're looking at in terms of the overall stat. This is definitely going to be a heavily shooting based unit, but in terms of the word tag, I don't really think that actually fits the overall theme of this guy over here. You have Ace exclusive, Transformer, and the high mobility. So all these does actually fit whatever the Hot Scramble is going for over here. In terms of the Ace exclusive, this unit is exclusively piloted by the Meijin Kawaji 3, so you can say that's for sure. This one is a transferable unit that is a given fact already. And then as for high mobility, that is when I went over what kind of gimmicks the Hot Scramble Gundam will have. It does state that this unit does have both high mobility, so everywhere to fits the overall theme. But I just feel like for a shooting based unit in game, it's just not gonna work that good. But this is gonna be another one of your niche type of unit that will be over here that is gonna work extremely well. But let's say a specific arena mode over here that is gonna be the shot defense arena mode. I feel like a few parts of these is gonna fit that category for sure. Just look at transformer right here. It's gonna boost shot attack by 10%. So this is gonna be definitely one of those parts that is gonna fit that specific theme, alongside with some extremely high shot defense this guy this actually has over here. So let's actually start from the scratch over here, or even before doing that. So this week around, there's not going to be that event point multiplier. So there's really not a need to, let's say, summon for the Hot Scramble or either the big justice. I think I would rather say just summon for what you guys like, instead of like, let's say, chase the meta parts, because as I'm doing these like alteration review for every one of these new parts every week, I do see like all those stuff fluctuate every week. So it's just kind of hard, right? If you guys are like free to play players, so just play who maybe spend light amount of money into the game, or just talking about just saying, oh, how should I chase a meta, for example, or is there even a meta to be chasing? I'll say right now, starting from the second year anniversary, we are introduced to those 40% trade. I think those are definitely like the big money or the biggest part to be chasing. But I'm pretty sure throughout this whole year, or even transition into 2022, I'm pretty sure these 40% trade will still be relevant, or even until maybe the third year anniversary. So I don't see a immediate need to just get these for right now. I think it's just really best if there's those type specific banner where they drop, let's say those I don't know, whatever, like those fragment tickets where you can pick up a parts. I think from that point you can just kind of say, you can just kind of bullseye, oh, I want to get this part and this part. I think right now blindly summoning for them, for this part, we just kind of like, it's not waste of powers, but it is hard to, let's say, save up a horror. So I don't think it's that good to blow it all away on these types of banner. In terms of the Hot Scramble, looking at the head over here, you can just see some immediately problems with those word tag. Ace exclusive and high mobility is definitely not going to be the most, the most cohesive, word tag to be using. But do granted, high mobility does actually boost 5% of shot defense. But I would say shot defense all not does not translate too well. Even with the change gear, the 30% change gear. Maybe later on when they do bump it up to, let's say, 35 to even 40, maybe that can be a better of a situation. But I would say the change gear overall does not make up the majority bulk of, let's say, your shot attack over there. But in terms of the overall stat, I would say it's just a little bit on the low balling side at 11,245. But what's most important to take a look over here is actually that shot defense boasting at around 5,000. With the capability of like high mobility and ace exclusive, you do get a little bit of a shot defense. So that's why I would say this is gonna be one of those like extremely niche typing or word tag over here that I guess they want us to kind of well prepare for those specific typings arena. But this is definitely dedicated to player who are like extremely into arena. Like they take arena as a serious competitive nature thing. I think that is just probably to like a 1% of the overall Gundam Breaker mobile player, if I want to say, because not a lot of people care, so even like want to, like I wouldn't say not care. Like I don't think a lot of players like would dive extremely deep into that arena. But hey, this is definitely a part to be using that when anyone does ask, like, oh, how would I prepare for like a shot defense arena when it actually drops? In terms of the part tray, it's actually pretty good. I think it's exactly the same as what we have in terms of the melee counterpart of the Big Justice. We have seen numerous times of having these initial charge boosting by 20%. But I would say this one, in terms of the first portrait, is a little bit more lenient in terms of word tag wise. Definitely Ace exclusive is going to be a tag you want to be using. I believe the last time they actually dropped this was I think one was tied down to like a specific typing, which was bad. I think one was tied down to Gundam type, which I think is still bad as well. Because Gundam type and then high firepower, I would say they're like neck and neck with each other, just to see which one can win the spot of the whichever player base. I would say. Me personally, I am trying to switch out between high firepower and Gundam type, depending on the situation. But it is kind of hard if you don't have those specific parts. For example, in terms of the second portrait, I feel like that could be a little bit more lenient. I feel like this having this only tied down to like a long shooter job does kind of shorten what kind of lifespan this part will have, because I think at the end of the day we just want something that's just easier to just kind of build around. We obviously don't want parts that is like extremely hard to build around with. So this one, with the overall kits of this pet with the word tag portrait, I think this is just a little bit more on the heavier side of like how to actually work this head over here. So I'll probably say I would definitely skip out on the head right here, despite the fact you do have some charge initial charge, which is good. I'm not gonna knock that out. I think it's just a word tag wise. I'm like probably not. I'm gonna skip this one for sure. All right, moving on to the chest right here. In terms of the chest, you are going to be boasting a 6,000 with the change screw right here as well. So not too bad overall. Same design again, high fire or high mobility and ace exclusive. So it's a pretty bothersome word tag combo they are doing over here. But you can't really do much about the actual unit itself, what it's actually capable of, I guess. They could have actually went with high firepower, and I'll definitely take that over high mobility, but that would be too generous of them, right? In terms of what the portrait is doing over here, this one, yeah, I would say I would give this one a passing score as well. Maybe like a 7.5 to an 8. Probably not the most difference. In terms of first portrait, this is where we're gonna see some let's say restriction of only using attacking with like only beam weaponry stuff. So your EX skill is gonna be basically tied down with like only beam typing EX skill, or else you're not gonna get that shooting power boosted. In return, well, anything with just shooting power basically means any of your shooting type EX skill. Those will take into effect, so you're not gonna be getting that 30% right here. In terms of only to the back part, I would say, like I said again, that may be a little bit of a niche choicing they'll be doing. But I feel like back part, there are a lot of good back part EX skills, so I'm not gonna hold this one to a extremely bad degree. But it's always just having a generalized condition of these EX skill would be a better choice. But if this is what they're looking at for over here, I would say we do have tons of chest parts that has some extremely good portrait. So if you guys do have those already, I would say this one is definitely one to be skipping. Although this chest does boast up to a 6,000 digit, which I think the one I was going to recommend, I think it's only coming in at 5,700. That is going to be the side chest. I think to this day I'm still using that because that one is easy to fulfill double shooting. I think it's either double shooting or shooting plus EXQ boosting. That is more of like a easier to be around, but that one does require you to have commander type. I think commander nowadays should be fairly easy, or I shouldn't even say easy. I think it's still hard depending if you're able to access those limited parts. Because at the end of the day, I think I think majority of commander tags, good ones, right? Assuming the good ones are tying down to those limited parts, so that can be a little bit of a problem in terms of, let's say, in the likes of free to play players, or just new players in general, trying to build a good, let's say, meta defining shooting build over here. But nonetheless, I would say this one I will hold it on the side just to see what kind of better option we have in this overall kit, just because of these kind of restrictions right here. And then as far as the word tag, I think one of the biggest problem for me just like tapping into big word tag readjustment is just bad all in all. Because ideally, what we will want, personally, if possible, pulling two chests, you would definitely double subslot it. Have one as a main, one as a subslot to get the most benefit. But there's definitely going to be times when that is impossible, and we want to look for alternative option. Let's say big scale alteration parts. So those definitely fit that slot for sure. But with high mobility, like there's just not a lot of good option you can be running with let's say big scale, right? So I feel like that's just a little bit of a hindrance in my opinion right there. But the hot take for this one over here, no pun intended, is actually going to be the arm. We were long due for a good arm that boosts, let's say just any double boosting without any, let's say, restriction. Here we are. They have finally answered our, question or concern or long undue just a better arm to be in general over here because currently I was until now I was still using the legends arm that was only restricting to only S attribute, which is completely not good. So let's say if I want to build a P or T type shooting build, I will basically left to nothing else. This one is actually currently the highest shooting arm base over here, coming racking up to 6,813, so fairly good. I want to assume that when it actually jumps to, let's say, a 35% to a 40% gear, this will probably boast up to maybe around a 7,000 digit, which is going to be good, just because this one does actually have some extremely high defensive value over here. Not the highest, but it's right up there, in the higher territory, I wouldn't say right here. But unfortunately, the word tag wise is going to be exclusive and, high mobility, which is not going to be your best combo over here. But in terms of the arm wise, you can definitely do some reworks on this one. I think it's totally fine, just because the arm is not like the main attraction of getting the highest shot attack over here. So in terms of portrait, here we are. That is going to be your 40% trait right there. So in terms of the first portrait, condition wise, is you melee attack taking is going to be raised by 20%. So it's not going to be that much but big of a deal in my opinion. I think these condition is more like hit or miss. Sometimes they don't really matter. For example, sometimes they do. In terms of this one, I would say it's completely fine. In terms of the second portrait wise over here with Ace exclusive active, EX skill power boosted by 40%. So this one over here, I would say it's completely easy to activate. It's not going to be one of your, let's say, when armor is 90% or more, it's not going to be one of those extremely rigid or let's say limited condition right there. So this one is good. This one, if you guys did put an arm, definitely the first part you want to be all trading from the set. That is going to be the one I'm going to recommending. I guess the 40% trade is definitely the one I'm going to be recommending because those are, those are going to be the meta defining parts. Those would definitely extremely long time. Let's say if you guys only sell it for now and you want to save your horror chips for like many months and don't sell it for it, these 40% trade would definitely carry you guys around no problem. So that is that. Definitely when you want to trade that. I think the disappointing factor in looking at the leg up here is actually the EX skill. They have the audacity to put a rapid thrust on a Soulcast suit or a Gundam Battle Festival part suit. So I don't know how I feel about that. This is definitely a part I would not even bother altering it. Just because it's just a regular rapid thrust over here. I feel like with that A power wise, it definitely looks interesting to me. Even with the overall stats, you're not looking too shabby either. Coming in at 5,600 is a pretty respectable number. But then again, you're gonna like with this word test set over here. You're definitely gonna be losing some stats while you're trying to do some, let's say, sub slot option over here. And plus, again, this one is a EX good base. You are gonna definitely need to find a leg that has some pretty decently portrait, for example, which I don't think is that hard for leg part wise. But who knows, right? It just really depends on what you guys have in your box, anyways. So. But I would say, I don't know. This is just having that rapid thrust. I'm like, probably not. An Ace exclusive and Transformer, probably not your best combo either. Obviously, Transformer does boost 10%, shot defense, but it's not really gonna make up as much as having like a raw attack or let's say shot attack up by 5%, right? It's definitely not gonna be in that same caliber, but I would say the leg is definitely a part. I would say I'm gonna hold off on now and not alter it for the moment. Now moving on to the backpack over here. I think the backpack EXQ is another disappointing factor in this unit. I think just overall the Scrambled Gundam is or the Hot Scramble is not as hype. I was hyped when I was doing the summoning for sure, but now like actually sitting down looking at the portrait, just understanding what the part actually does, I'm just maybe it's not as good as I thought, but if for example trying to prepare for that shot defense arena mode, these part will definitely come in handy, and I will appreciate them a lot along the way. This one in terms of the stat, you're racking up around 5,258, so just a little bit under what you would expect with like a new base unit, but still pretty good. Not to knock anything out of this one over here. Word tag wise is gonna be the same Ace exclusive and Transformer, so not gonna be like your most like ooh best portrait or best word tag to be looking at. In terms of the EXQ base over here, this is gonna be a Buster Beam rifle over here. So this one is gonna be another one of those like just like what is it? Like let's say the Gundam X Divider, let's say Crossbone X Mao. Those are cutscene EXQ based with Alteration. You would expect him to let's say get a power wise up like an S, but these are just those specific those niche category of EXQ that remain as a let's say A power instead or A minus this one instead. This one I would say is bad all in all. In terms of damage output, I don't think it can it does not rival and well let's say in terms of like actually doing damage to your opponent, depending on how your enemy is, this one does not cannot really do damage compared to the regular rampage, so that was a pretty disappointing factor, because from what I saw from somewhere in the GNL Discord, just Discord server, I think someone was testing this out and that they were only able to land 2 hits with the Hot Scramble backpack over here. But if you're looking at the standard version, the regular Scramble Gundam, with the Rampage, you were able to hit multiple hit. Let's say, I believe, from what I tested myself, it can hit up to 21 times. So it's gonna be a series of 3 hit. It's gonna be a 3 hit per. So I think that one was able to hit at least more, like at least due to 2 to 3 times. So you're definitely gonna be doing a lot more damage, right? Compared to this one over here. I have not actually tested it on my build, so I maybe in terms of number wise can be difference, but in terms of this one over here, it's definitely not gonna be the one that can do the most amount of damage. And what's bad about this one as well is they're raising shot defense by 29% instead of actually, let's say raising, shot attack. Like why? Why would they actually do that? But so that's why I'm not like the biggest fan of the backpack at the moment right now. So if you guys do like it, definitely you can alternate it, because the stat is not that bad either. So definitely a part you can be looking at. But like I said again, word tag wise it's not the best, but you can see that the defensive value coming in at 6K. So that would definitely be a good part just to have alterated. For example, if you guys do have the extra resources and you want to funnel into, let's say, preparing for some specific type of arena, this one can be a good part just because of that. But in terms of like full on usability, I would say not, probably not. That is probably a extremely niche choice over here. But like I said again, in terms of recommendation for subslot for this guy specifically, now I'm just thinking about that. You can subslot the Zeta Gundam backpack, because the Zeta Gundam backpack this actually has have one transformer tag. So let's say you don't want to use transformer, you can always switch to whatever the secondary I think word tag for the or divider. I'm thinking about the X divider, man. I don't know, but it should be good in terms of the second portrait Gundam type. So you can definitely rock yourself Ace exclusive and then Gundam type, no problem. If let's say you want to subslot Zeta Gundam right there, so that is just a little bit of a suggestion right there. Of course, in terms of some melee weaponry over here, this is gonna be your dose over here. In terms of the melee side, it's not that extremely well. Obviously for shooting base, you're not really looking overall for the melee attack. But in terms of the shot attack over here, because you're boasting, like look at that, 4,000. Like where can you find another part another beam saber that has that amount like shot defense, right? So this one is definitely a good part to have. Like I said again, preparing for that that shot defense that we're getting right here. But in terms of the portrait, yeah, I think the portrait is not the most outstanding for sure. The first portrait is definitely not that good, you know. Just after 15 seconds has to pass, reduce cooldown by 50% once. So this is more like a one-time thing. So you'll be taking it on, let's say like a larger type of event. This portrait right here, this the overall portrait wise is completely fried. There's just not much ways you can kind of use this. I would have to assume right here. Second portrait is definitely gonna be good. It's definitely gonna be one that can allow you to, you know, deal more damage. You know, EXP power boost by 35%. Nonetheless, pretty good. But I feel like the first portrait is just like, why? Why would they give the idea of like just a 15-second and then reduce cooldown by that? I don't know. These are just not overall good right here. So we can just say skip this one for sure. In terms of the beam rifle, currently in the beam rifle category weapon itself, this is gonna be the rank 1 weapon on the rifle side category. But in terms of overall, I believe the GH Arch Gundam is still probably rank 1 at the moment. Warrior wise, ace exclusive and high mobility gain, another why. I just have so many whys in this one over here. Like, why did they build the way they did instead of using some like some more common, let's say high firepower? I don't see it anywhere in here, so that's kind of sad to be honest. In terms of the portrait wise, first portrait is good. But the second portrait is going to be locked to a long shooter job, and then increased job gauge increased by 20%. So that's probably the highest multiplier we have seen or percentage I have seen so far. But the second portrait is going to be one of your niche options, just like immediately trying to use your job gauge, for example, which is like I guess it's good, but like how many times can you use a job gauge like more than once in a match, right? I think that is gonna be the most important factor to be looking at. But let's say we're looking into, let's say, some matchup like limited time ultimation boss fight, for example. I think those you can probably choose it in to have multiple time usage. But all in all, I feel like just reserving that spot to, let's say, EXP power boosting or even initial charge boosting would definitely be a lot more better than just having this right here. So that's the smart thought. Maybe you guys still like the, you know, let's say the job gauge increase right there, you know. But me personally, I'll probably skip out on a beam rifle as well. All right, coming down to the last part that we need to go over is actually going to be the shield, and this one the same condition again. In terms of the shooting base over here, 4,846 is a respectable number right there nonetheless. Word type wise, it's just going to be pretty sad again. In terms of the EXQ base over here, we have seen this numerous times already, basing off of the new Gundam series that we have in this game. So this is not going to be any of your fancy animation. So it's basically launching up your beams, your the shield right there, and then just launching like a mega cannon or the mega launcher here. So it's not going to be anything too spectacular. So this is definitely going to be another part. You know, depending on how you guys want to build this, you know, with exclusive and transformer, it's just not the most cohesive or just not the most easiest to build around that right now. So I think the parts that I would probably recommend is just the arm at the moment. I think with that 40% trade is definitely going to be good. But as you guys look at the stat sheet over here, maybe you want to alter another part, maybe the torso, just because of that, you know, of that high shot attack. But otherwise, I feel like any of the other part are just gonna be more of like a situational thing. It's just more like, what do you guys need? Do you guys need to have like a ace exclusive, high mobility, and transformer tech build? I think that's gonna be a question you need to be asking yourself right there. But me personally, I will definitely take a hot skill right there. Another no pun intended. Just because I feel like they could have done a little bit better, but just not good enough where I'm sold to let's use this part, regardless of what kind of word type we're looking at. So that should be pretty much it for this alteration video right here, just for the hot scramble right here. So it's more of like an extremely niche build that you gotta be doing. I think that is not gonna be something we can deny that. But you know, that being said, that should be pretty much it. And then I'll catch you guys all on the next one.